Okay.
Parks and Rec.
I guess. Unless someone else. Holy One, we gather in this space at the beginning of our pilgrimage as a congregation. Be with us, guide our feet, keep us on your way, and help us to have fun. In Jesus' name.
Amen. Amen. Come on in. Thank you so much. So Lori, just a technical question. Do I need to get off the
You can go ahead and share. Joe, we're really picking up on that cough. Would you mind muting yourself?
Okay.
Thanks. Joe.
Happy to see everybody on Zoom. Welcome.
In
I'm
prayer
Mary.
for sure, but
I'm gonna switch screens for a moment. This part's new, so bear with me. I don't want that one. Oh. Oh, I had it up. Where did it go?
I know you.
I sure did. It was been sitting there for an hour. Let's open it back up on Canva. Oh, goody, now you get to talk amongst yourselves. While I pull this up for us. Internet's a little slow.
It is, isn't it?
Come on. I find it funny that it's been sitting here almost an hour, and then when we went to open it, it went.
Today, before we get started, I came to church by an Uber this morning, but if anyone's going west from Verdun, I'd be grateful for a ride.
Where are you, Maggie?
What's the cross streets of where you are?
Prospect and Shields.
I can take you, Maggie.
Thank you.
I've got some errands and that'll be just great.
Let's wait on the signal. There we go. Thank you for your patience.
That is so wild, isn't it?
Yeah. And at home I could just click to it, but here it takes a little while. We're almost there. There's that. Nope, not showing it. Okay, so just need to share my screen now. Hopefully. I used to sing a song. Lori, I'm having a little trouble. Might need your help. So there's the presentation.
Okay. You go to your Zoom screen. Go to share.
And then I'll have to go to
It's coming.
presentation.
It's coming.
Oh.
There we go.
I think we have it working now.
By Joel.
By Joel, I think she's got it. All right. Hi, everybody. Oh, good. Just in time. Come join us. Or slip through whatever you're doing. No pressure. Well, hi, everybody. My name is Mary Thoma, as she said. I'm very happy to be here with you today. This is going to be a lot of fun. It will be more fun if you'll jump in with me, which I've been told that you are a group that likes to chat and join in and respond. So I'm really glad to hear that. Otherwise, it will be Mary just talking, and that, that'll get boring, I know. So I have never, this is part of the true confessions part. I have never created a PowerPoint in my life. When I teach on the Labyrinth, good, it's working. When I generally teach about the Labyrinth, it is prior to actually walking the Labyrinth. And so we do a lot of sort of activities around the space, and I share information, and then it leads into a walk. So this is the first time to do like presentation. So we'll see how it goes. So let's jump in. So first of all, very happy that you're here. Thank you. Okay, and I can't see my previous slides. So walking the Labyrinth, a pilgrimage of the soul. So I was told that Felicia was going on pilgrimage and that you as a congregation are also going on pilgrimage. So I tried to theme this with you in mind. Fortunately for me, the Labyrinth is a very easy, direct connection to pilgrimage, because we'll get into that more later, but you'll see how it reflects pilgrimage so beautifully. Are you familiar with Christine Walters Paintner? Anyone?
Mhm.
Great, yes, we love her. This is just a bit of a poem. Step by step, the winding path unfolds, a pilgrimage traced in ancient stone, not to be solved, but to be walked, a prayer of movement, a dance with God. So before we get into this, I would love to just briefly hear what's bringing you to this workshop today? What drew you? Why are you present? Which I'm so happy that you are. And if you don't want to share about that, you could also share, what are you seeking? Or sometimes when we are warming the labyrinth before a walk, we will form a circle and we'll start with, I am a pilgrim seeking. And then when a word arises, you would walk and say, I'm a pilgrim seeking peace, courage, clarity. So let's just go around real quick, if you don't mind. Maybe say your name and one thing you're seeking or why you're here today.
My name is Lori, and I'm a pilgrim seeking both peace and what is mine to do in this very chaotic time.
I've been familiar with the labyrinth so far back, I don't really remember exactly when, but to me, it's a way of seeking peace. It's a prayerful thing and can be different each time you walk it. So I'm seeking that closeness with God and being quiet enough to hear his voice.
Well, there's the workshop. Thank you.
I'm Kathleen, and I'm here to want to get clarity on and courage. I think courage and along with peace. Yes, being able to know my own heart.
I'm Judy. I was just gonna say, I feel like whenever I travel somewhere or if I hear there's a labyrinth somewhere, I'm just sort of drawn to go walk it.
Mhm.
Like my husband will sit there and watch me walk it because he's never done it, but you're like, fine, I'll sit here, whatever, and wait for you. But yeah, I just feel somehow, so like a presentation about labyrinths, I'm drawn to that. So, but if I think it's a grounding thing for me, the actual physically touching the ground, the actual walking, body movement.
I'm Barbara, and I've done the labyrinth, and I just look forward to a deeper understanding and experience.
And I'm Amy, and probably seeking calm and maybe a little courage.
I'm Lynn. I've been through labyrinth fairly often, and I think about what everybody is saying. I'm right with you.
I'm Barb, and I've been walking labyrinths for decades, but, and read Lauren, what was? Artress. Yes, that book 30 years ago. And so I'm drawn to labyrinths, and I would love to have more grounding.
I'm a husband who watches my wife walk.
Yes.
And occasionally, and your name?
Oh, and I'm Jed.
Jed.
Yeah, and I occasionally walk them myself. Seeking a sense of unity.
I'm Sarah. I adore walking labyrinths, and I very often just am open. Because even just the path of the labyrinth will then start to bring things out, so I tend to walk in not knowing very often. And then something comes up and it's like, oh, that's the thing I've been trying to avoid for a while.
Beautiful, yeah.
I'm Felicia and I am seeking rest, but also a posture for the last third of my vocation as a priest. That's what I'm seeking.
I'm Pete. I belong to her over there. And we have walked Labyrinth. And I would be interested to see if we could have one here. I know where it should go. But the resources, I guess, are not available. But walking Labyrinth, it's a release
Yes.
and a feeling of peace. And just, yeah, it's like,
I'm Maggie. I've been in other parishes that have labyrinths, but I haven't studied it. It's a chance to hang out outside.
True, so true. Should we check in with our Zoom folks?
Sure,
See if they want to jump in?
go ahead, let's see. Anybody want to add their 2 cents here? Just
Hi, I'm
unmute your-
Carol,
Go ahead, Carol.
and I'm pilgrim seeking how to walk the labyrinth on paper, since I'm not physically able to do a physical labyrinth walk that I'm used to, and how to look at a specific life path and watch it unfold and be patient with its unfolding, rather than, as Mary said earlier, not trying to solve it, but rather sit with it and watch it unfold and be part of that process.
Thank you.
So I'm Raven and I'm on a pilgrimage of deepening relationships.
I'm Amy, and we are on a pilgrimage this moment in California. And today I'm a pilgrim seeking sanctification.
Anybody else? Okay.
Oh,
Well,
Joe, Joe, you want to?
Joe? She's waving us off. Okay, Joe, we got you. Wow, well, there's so much experience in this room, so we might go through some of this more quickly since you all have such experience with it. So what I was asked to prepare was a very brief history of the labyrinth as a mindful practice, the labyrinth in Christian context, my personal journey, just a little bit with the labyrinth, and also was asked how All Saints went about building our stone and paver labyrinth so quickly. We did not anticipate it moving as quickly as it did, so there's hope if you really want one. So the workshop's divided into 3 chunks. The first part is mostly what we've gone over here on this slide. The second part are guidelines for actually walking the labyrinth so that you can go in feeling confident, like you know what's happening. There are so many people who will walk into a labyrinth and they're just terrified the entire time because they don't know what they're doing and they're afraid to do it wrong. That's not going to be the issue with this group, but so we can click through those quickly if we don't need them. And then the last part is, the last section is we are going to walk a finger labyrinth. I have multiple for you to choose from. We'll talk about the purpose of the finger labyrinth versus the walking labyrinth and how it's so much more accessible to people. And then we'll share a short guided meditation and we'll walk together. And then with the time we have left, we'll chat some more. Does that sound good? Okay. Slide, thank you. Well, this was where I was going to ask how many of you have ever walked a labyrinth before? You know, have you walked a labyrinth 1 time? Have you walked a labyrinth 5 times, 10 times? It sounds like you all have lots of experience. So we'll move on. So this is just a super short version of my story. So my first encounter with the labyrinth was in a spiritual disciplines class. I was attending a Methodist church and I was introduced to the labyrinth, again, in a spiritual disciplines class. And I immediately felt connected to the physicality of moving my body through space in a prayer with a prayerful intention. As someone who is a retired actor and filmmaker, I use my body a lot. It's how I experience the world kinesthetically and to a great degree. And so having a way to pray and meditate and find discernment where I wasn't locked into having to sit still every moment, at that point in my path was really helpful to me. And so I love when people say to me, I just can't sit and meditate or can't do centering prayer. I'll say, let's walk the labyrinth together. Let's start there. Soon that introduction turned into a personal practice, a space for prayer, reflection, and listening. And then, like one of you said, maybe it was you, somebody over here said they walk one every, any city they go to. I walk one every birthday. It's how I start my birthday, is I find a labyrinth and I walk it. And if I can't find a labyrinth, I will walk a labyrinth path, you know, just with my phone. I will just follow the path and turn when it says to turn. And I may have included that in the resources, I may not have. Deepening the journey. So when I found All Saints, I'm a transplant from Shreveport, Louisiana. I've been here almost 5 years now. But when I found All Saints, which is very close to my home, it's like, oh, there's an Episcopal church. I'll give them a shot. Because I love the Episcopal church, even though I wasn't raised in it. And they were in the process of starting to talk about visioning and building a labyrinth. And something in my heart fluttered. I was like, oh, I need to be a part of this. I didn't really know why. I just knew, I know that feeling in my body. And so I went to Sherry Locker at the time, who was the person spearheading this vision. And I said, look, I'm a retired actor. I don't know a lot about fundraising. You know, I've written a couple of grants, but they were more, you get the picture. I said, but I feel like I'm supposed to be a part of this if you need someone else. And she said, oh, please come in. So you know how that is, right? More help, yay. So what I didn't anticipate is that in that experience, I felt this call to go deeper and to train with Veritas, which is an international organization that trains labyrinth facilitators all over the world, to start exploring getting training to become a facilitator. So that's when I started that. Then I was able to play a role in bringing our permanent labyrinth to All Saints, a sacred space now open to the full community, the wider community. In August, we dedicated it, and now I'm really enjoying, moving from actor, filmmaker, acting teacher to writer, labyrinth facilitator, retreat leader, workshop leader. So I'm having, it's so fun. We never know where the path is going to lead us, right? It's very slow signal, I'm sorry. So the labyrinth is an ancient symbol of the journey inward and outward, a single continuous path that invites us to slow down, reflect, and listen. This is just reminders for you guys. Comes in many forms, as you know. This first one is the Cretan or the classical design. The second one you might recognize, it's really one of the most famous patterns for labyrinths. It's the one that we built, we modeled our labyrinth after, which is the Chartres Cathedral labyrinth, which is also, right, this shape in this finger, this wooden finger or handheld labyrinth. But there are so many different creative ways to create labyrinths. You see this first one is made from stone. The middle one, hi Amy and Raven, there you go, Grace Cathedral in San Francisco. One made of pumpkins. I've seen them made of flags. I've seen them made of whirligigs. I've seen them made of plastic forks laid out in the grass. Nothing can keep you from creating the labyrinth. If you want to, you can do it. It doesn't have to be
There's
permanent.
one at the Charles Schultz Museum in Santa Rosa, California, and it's the whole shape of it is Snoopy. Snoopy's head.
Oh, that's so cute.
And it's like his nose and his ear, and you walk all around.
Right. Oh, that's great. So a lot of times when you ask people about a labyrinth, they say, oh, I know that, it's from the movie, The Labyrinth with David Bowie. I'm like, yeah, not that labyrinth. A maze obviously has multiple entrances. A maze is not a labyrinth. A maze is designed to fool you. It's designed to trick you and frustrate you, and you're desperate to find your way out. The labyrinth is a single path. It is designed to help you find your way. No matter the shape, a labyrinth is a single winding path, right? Taking you to the center and winding you back out again. inviting reflection, stillness, and movement as one unified transformative experience. That's me in Scotland, actually, at the Fairy Glen in 2020, but that's a long story. All right, the benefits. Meditation for everybody, a gentle moving meditation, integrating mind, body, and spirit. A tool for relaxation. So labyrinth walking has been proven to reduce stress, release tension, and support neurological well-being. I think we've learned a lot over the last few years about our nervous system and how we need to tend to our nervous system and calm ourselves and tap into that parasympathetic nervous system, and the labyrinth definitely can help us do that. Walking the labyrinth slows the body, deepens the breath, and quiets the mind, inviting calm, clarity, and insight, which we have already been discussing. And it's a path to spiritual connection. The labyrinth offers sacred space for prayer, discernment, and communion with God. The more you walk, someone in here said every labyrinth walk is different, right? And the more you walk also, you can get deepening benefits from the labyrinth, so that you can achieve greater self-awareness, improved relationships, heightened creativity, and even increased happiness.
Do you know where that one is?
I don't. And it's funny though, that's the same slide we used. I'm leading a retreat in Maine in May in 3 weeks, and that's the same image we used for our retreat, but I don't know where it is. I'll find out for you. So just to review why people walk the labyrinth, a moving prayer, a pilgrimage in place, a path for healing, a community practice, a walk with God. And there's obviously a quote from Isaiah there that you can read. When you turn to the right, or you turn to the left, your ears shall hear a word behind you saying, "This is the way, walk in it." As we know, labyrinths have been a part of human history for a long time, 4,000 years, and they're found all over the world. Currently, so I just checked this number about a month ago, there are 6,400 walking labyrinths across 90 countries, created and embraced in diverse settings, churches and temples, hospitals and rehab centers, prisons, therapist offices, schools, universities, private residences, and more. And there's a big wave right now in creating temporary labyrinths. So a lot of people are intentionally, sort of like the Buddhist sand paintings, you know, they work so hard to create it, and then they allow the ocean to come, or, you know, they shake the tray. But there's a big movement right now around just creating temporary labyrinths for people to walk, which is really beautiful. Okay, we're gonna go through this quickly, brief history timeline. So 1200 BCE, Greece, in ancient Greece and Roman mythology, labyrinths were seen as symbols of rebirth and protection, places where one could face challenges and find clarity and emerge renewed. You're probably familiar with the story of the Minotaur, Greek mythology. It was a symbol of facing your inner challenges and finding renewal. Well, this story gave the labyrinth symbolic meaning. Then in 324 AD, in North Africa, it's our first Christian labyrinth that we know of, installed in the Basilica of Saint Reparatus in Algeria. And here's what it looks like. This 8-foot wide mosaic included the inscription Sancta Ecclesia, Holy Church, at the center, and marked a shift in the labyrinth's use from mythological symbol now to sacred Christian path. Whoop. Okay. And then France, 1201 AD, Chartres Cathedral installed, most everyone in here knows about the Chartres labyrinth, right? Installed an intricate labyrinth into the floor of the cathedral, and it was used as a form of symbolic pilgrimage. Yeah, we said that. And there's just a picture of Chartres if you haven't seeing the cathedral, and there's the photo of the beautiful stone labyrinth inlaid into the floor. I tried to visit it 2 years ago when we were going through France, had it all set up, and the day that we were in that area, it was not accessible. Not only the labyrinth, the church was closed. We couldn't go in. I'll go another time, hopefully. So for those unable to travel to Jerusalem, walking the labyrinth offered a spiritual journey through prayer and reflection, guiding the faithful inward and back out transformed. This sketch was created sometime like 1701. All right, and then the modern resurgence. So we're doing on time. Okay, so this is Lauren Artress, whose name has come up already. She's an Episcopal priest. And she was so inspired by the medieval labyrinth of Chartres Cathedral that she reintroduced the labyrinth as a spiritual practice at Grace Cathedral in San Francisco. There's what it looks like. Such a glorious space if you haven't been. You might notice up in the right, there are women playing harps. There's a gorgeous sculpture of St. Francis in the bottom left, really powerful to be present to in person. But it's a gorgeous sacred space. Someone's trying to get in, I think. And I was just there in February, so I know I know. I feel like Amy has mentioned that this is a very special place for she and Raven, and I had never actually been able to be present there, but I got to go in February and attend a women's dream quest, and we had the entire cathedral to ourselves for 24 hours. It was pretty, we slept there. We slept in the cathedral. I woke up at about 2 a.m. and walked the labyrinth in just candlelight and quiet. It was really powerful. I think it's interesting to note that when Lauren brought the labyrinth to Grace Cathedral, there was such profound grief and pain in the early 90s around the AIDS, HIV crisis. And she realized what a profound contribution the labyrinth could be for those who were grieving and in need of prayer and reflection during, by creating a sacred space for healing during a time of collective loss. And as we've mentioned, she's written a book, Walking the Sacred Path. It's actually my copy's back there if you want to peek at it, and also an accompanying practice book. It really shares her story about how she brought the labyrinth to the West. She wasn't the only person, but she really was the driving force. She's an incredible person. Here's a quote. "A labyrinth is a spiritual tool that has only one path, unlike a maze that has no dead ends. The same path is used to enter and exit. It becomes a mirror for where we are in our lives. It touches our sorrows, releases our joys. Walk it with an open mind and an open heart." So walking as prayer and pilgrimage. Pilgrimages to holy sites have long been a part of our Christian tradition. And walking the labyrinth is a form of embodied prayer and pilgrimage. Each twist and turn mirrors the spiritual journey. It's a sacred tool and practice when entered with intention. I'll just jump in here and say there are some communities who are not comfortable with the labyrinth, and their argument is that the labyrinth is we're using it for like magic, or it's all about our intention that we bring to any space. And so I believe that our Christian community has definitely reclaimed that as our own. Henry Nouwen beautifully expresses when he writes, "A spiritual discipline sets us free to pray, or to say it better, allows the Spirit of God to pray in us." Which, again, the labyrinth is not the only spiritual discipline or tool out there, but it certainly is a beautiful practice and tool for our contemplative toolbox. All right, so this is just a bit about how we built our labyrinth at All Saints. So there it is. That was the day, this was last August when we dedicated the labyrinth. It's a stone and paver labyrinth. And before you ask, we ordered a kit. There's a Labyrinth company, you can order a kit somewhere near New York, I've forgotten where it is, and they truck that thing down here and forklift the stones off. It looked like a giant Lego kit. I kid you not. It was exactly measured, and there were certain ways that they had to put it together. It was fascinating to watch them construct it, but it was actually a kit. So when we started, we didn't have a space and we didn't have a canvas labyrinth. It's on my wish list someday to have a canvas labyrinth that I can take around and open up. And so we have a round dining hall, as you can see, and we decided to use painter's tape and just tape one down. And so we did, and we used it for months and months, and it was a way for us to introduce our congregation to the practice. You know, to help some of those that weren't as comfortable with the idea and didn't really understand it, to see what it was like to walk and how beautiful it could be. And so then that's us building it. After we taped it, we were very excited. And our first walk there on the right. And then, yeah, just a couple more photos. So you can see when we needed to have our after church coffee hour, we just moved the tables out and you can see the tape underneath. Like it was just a double use, and it worked really beautifully for a while. Then when we were preparing for World Labyrinth Day, May 4th, last year it was May 4th, this year it's May 3rd, we decided to experiment with mowing a grass labyrinth. I have to tell you this, as much as I love, don't tell my congregation this, as much as I love our stone and paver labyrinth, and I really do, it is such a gift. There was something about walking that grass labyrinth barefoot, just connected to Mother Earth. Oh, it was just, I just loved it. So I kind of want one again, but that is how we celebrated World Labyrinth Day last year, by mowing that labyrinth.
And there's, I'm sure, instructions on how to mow.
Sure. Oh, there's YouTube videos for everything.
Yeah.
And if you ever decide you want one, we'll send them along to you. Just ask, I promise.
That's a temporary way you could have a
Yeah.
labyrinth
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah. Now, the tending to it, we didn't have to tend to it very long. They mowed it, and then like 2 days prior, they kind of cleaned it up again, but I don't know what the maintenance of all summer long would be like. But so we had labyrinth cookies and labyrinth cakes, and we sold, we did a lot of fundraising, and what you see in that bottom photo is my friend Marcia, who they made a bunch of labyrinth bracelets, etc., to be able to fundraise so that we could raise funds for building a permanent labyrinth. And then our permanent space started in June 13th, and we had our dedication, as I said, on the 24th. So this is the community coming out for the labyrinth. And what we're doing there is we're walking the circumference to warm the labyrinth, to sort of open the labyrinth.
Is that a practice?
There's so many beautiful practices to do with, yeah, bring our energies to it, bring our hearts and our attentions to it. In fact, there's a lot of labyrinths around the world that don't get much love and attention, and you can feel it. I mean, it's just the truth of it. So Sherry's going to be really mad, but she asked me to take that picture off. But that is Cherry Locker, who was the driving force of our labyrinth ministry. She's very humble and very quiet, and we would not have our labyrinth without her leadership. You can see them bulldozing the grass one. But look at that gorgeous stone and paver labyrinth now. And we really hope you'll come walk with us anytime, but May 3rd especially, because we're going to have a World Labyrinth Day celebration as well. So there's another shot. Okay. So that's the history of, I'm going to go through these because you guys know all these things. That's the history of how our labyrinth came to be. Any questions from anybody?
How much did that kit cost?
I think it was 80,000. Whoa. We had one anonymous donor who started some seed money, some seed funds, and then this person also, this unnamed person in our congregation, saw how hard we were working to raise money with silent auction, with jewelry, with anything that we could do. Once that seed money was there, we also started applying for grants through the Episcopal Church and through other organizations for mental health, and none of those grants came through at that time. And then we just had more donors, and it just sort of, as we did the little chart where you could see it go up, you know, and I think when people see that, they get encouraged, like, oh, we're not just talking about this, we're really doing this. And I feel like the congregation, and even outside of our congregation, started chipping in big ways.
And there's also a kit where you get the individual bricks,
Mhm.
different colors,
Mhm.
and you have to prepare the ground
Yes.
beforehand, but you can do that too.
We worked with Summit Stone, oh, there's two Summit Stones, I'm new to Colorado. There's Summit Stone Partners, and then there's a Summit Stone Hard Landscaping Company. We worked with them, and they came and they leveled the ground,
Mhm.
and their crew came in and actually put the Lego, the
sand.
giant Lego pieces together.
Sarah, were you around when St. Paul's began their labyrinth, and what was that like?
So I can't remember the whole history of it, but we had the campus labyrinth at our church for, I want to say, a couple weeks. We had a teaching on it. And then we decided we were going to build our own. And what it was a clear dirt space with, we took landscape timbers that normally go along garden beds, and we cut them into like 8-inch tall chunks, and then we buried them standing up.
Oh, nice.
To make the, I have some pictures, might be pictures of my daughters also helping build the labyrinth, you know, at 3 and 7.
Aw.
But I'll make sure to get copies put up on the timeline.
That'd be good, yeah.
It was it was a low cost, but it was very cool. And because we were on Elizabeth Street, which is a fairly high traffic area, even though it was set back, we had a couple of master gardeners in the congregation. And so they designed a raised berm that was maybe 2 to 3 feet tall, and then put plantings on top of that to just screen it a little bit.
We had a lot of traffic, a lot of people.
Really?
Yeah. But that's a much less expensive way to go.
It sure is. Yeah.
So I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, the last 2 churches I was a part of built labyrinths.
Really?
In a less expensive kind of way. But they were a way for us we couldn't build because we had to meet some criteria of the city. We hadn't done that yet. And so we wanted to build something, and we built a Sharps 9-circuit labyrinth.
Nice.
Designed by a parishioner at St. Mary Magdalene in Boulder.
Your PowerPoint is gone from the screen.
I'm still here. I don't, it's as if it keeps dumping out.
I know, I don't know why that is, why that keeps happening.
Okay, well, what would you like me to do? Do you want me to just kind of click through these slides without seeing them, or do you want to take the time to try to reboot and reconnect?
Well, how comfortable are you with just talking to us?
Yeah, I just wanna be sure I cover a few things, so I'll just do that.
Okay.
So, this part's gonna go really quick, and then we're gonna take a break, stretch break, go to the bathroom, and then we'll come back and we'll do the guided meditation and the finger walk. Does that sound good? Okay. So a lot of people, as I was saying earlier, this is around guidelines around walking the labyrinth, and some people get very nervous about it because they don't have any information. Anytime we take on anything new, we want some guidelines and some parameters so we can feel comfortable to relax and experience the experience. So it's helpful to know these things. So sometimes people will say, I don't know how to do this, or I bet everybody can do this but me, or I'm just gonna stand over here and watch. By the way, it's okay to stand over and watch. We have people that are part of our Daughters of the King ministry, and often they set up chairs around the labyrinth and they sit and pray for the entire time that people walk. They are holding sacred space. And so there are ways to be involved with the labyrinth, even if you can't walk it yourself. So we like to talk about the 3 R's. Have you heard of the 3 R's of the labyrinth? All right, so it's an easy way to remember, to give yourself some flexible guidelines to walking the labyrinth. They are release, receive, and return. And it's on your paper. So all these little notes are on your paper. Release, receive, and return, 3 R's. Sometimes people like to add a 4th one that is kind of like the 0.0 before you go to the labyrinth, which is remember. So some people get lost when I throw too many R's at them. So we'll just stick with the 3. So as you walk into the labyrinth, you are trying to release all the thoughts and the anxieties and the worries that you are carrying in, so that you can have more capacity to be present to the spirit. right? So we think of this first way in, as you walk in and you wind all the way to the middle, that's the release. You're trying to let go of things so you can get to the center, you can get to the home, to the heart of God, to be able to receive. So in the center, we stay in the center as long as we like. People sit, they kneel, they lie down. I mean, it's your experience and it's okay to do all of those things. It's okay to be in the center with a lot of other people and you're all in there like this together praying. It's okay. When someone's coming into the center, I see sometimes people trying to rush out, like, oh, give them space. You know, there's a give and take, but don't feel rushed. So receive is the middle, and then return is obviously from the center. Now that you've released and you've had more capacity and you've received, you now return transformed, renewed, with more clarity, with more peace, with more strength, inner strength. And that's the return. So sometimes just sharing those 3 R's with people helps them feel like, oh, okay, I get a sense of what's happening in here. Having said that, any of those R's can happen at any place on the labyrinth, right? You can receive the moment you step in. You can release on your way out. It's not that rigid. It's just a guideline to help you think about your walk. Before you enter, I encourage people to pause to pray, to set an intention, to mark this time that we're moving from Chronos time, clock time, into Kairos time, sacred time. So people will carry a line of scripture, be still and know that I'm God. People will carry just one word in. You know, if you practice, any of you practice centering prayer in here, so maybe carrying your anchor word in, you know, and again, it's the same ways that we approach many of our spiritual disciplines. It's just that we're on a path that we get to follow while we do it. So Lauren always says that the 3 R's are a map, but they are not the territory. You provide the territory. So we've gone over those. I'm going to click through. So expectations on the path. This is also really helpful. Release your expectations, right? Easier said than done. Now, I know this group is going to go walk the Lion's Labyrinth. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Amy, for introducing me to that labyrinth because it is so beautiful. I loved it. One of the things that Lauren Artress always says is try to release any expectations of having any particular experience on the labyrinth. Her catchphrase is experience your experience. Just have your experience. Don't worry about any expectation. You can't see this. You will not be Shazammed on the labyrinth. You will not get Shazammed. You don't need to be worried about it. Again, I'm preaching to the choir here. This is sort of set up for, I thought we'd have more people that had never walked a labyrinth before. All emotions are welcome on the path. I see people heads down, grieving, weeping, crying. I've seen, and I've done all these things I'm about to tell you, laughing, skipping out of the labyrinth, dancing out of the labyrinth. It's just a holy, sacred space to be able to have your experience and to know that even if I am head down deep in reflection and God is speaking to me about something on my heart that someone else, like if I pick my head up for a minute, someone else is just, you know, looking up at the sky, beaming full of joy and love. It's such a communal, gorgeous experience to see that all expression is welcome there. Every walk is different, right? Every walk is different. Every experience is different. These are just a few things to prepare you for your walk as a community, because when you walk alone, a lot of these things that I'm about to say won't apply. But when you walk as a community, there's some things that you need to know about. One is there are no rules other than mutual respect, right? Remember that the labyrinth is a two-way street. There are going to be people coming toward you as you're coming in, people are coming out. And that leads to concerns about what do I do? What do I do when we're on the same path, but they're coming and I'm, you know, leading the other way? You can pause and let them move around you. You can step off the path and pass them. Passing and pausing is totally fine. I encourage soft eyes on the labyrinth and off the labyrinth. What I mean by, you know what I mean by soft eyes? Yeah. When sometimes we'll have people new to the labyrinth that are on the outside and they don't want to go in yet, and they are analyzing people. They're just watching everything. Almost, in a very uncomfortable way. And so we encourage people, it's fine to observe and to send love or prayer, just observe, but have soft eyes both in and outside of the labyrinth. To greet or not to greet? Who knows the answer to that question? Do you greet people in the labyrinth or do you not? You can. You can. So I have seen people as they approach a friend and maybe both are full of emotion, they'll stop and hug each other. They'll hug and hold each other and then they'll keep walking. I've seen people do kind of a namaste or a bow. And other people, if you are deep in reflection and you don't want to be interrupted because you are deep in conversation with the Holy Spirit, just keep your eyes down. So when you're walking in Lions and if you're deep into it, you don't have to look up and greet people. You don't have to be polite in that way. You're having your experience. Listen, I'm a Southern girl. I was raised in the South. Hello, how are you? How are you doing? You don't have to do that on the labyrinth. You can have your experience. You can greet or not greet. And this is one of my favorite, but what do I do with my hands? What do you do with your hands when you're walking the labyrinth? Anything you want, right? You can have them, you can hold your hands, you can be in prayer, you can have them behind you, you can stick them in your pockets. It's okay. I just want you to hear, like, it's your experience. Go in and relax and receive what is there for you. The other thing is no one's watching you really. They're in there having their own experience. Yes.
For me, it's more like, what do my hands want to do?
I like that.
So
yeah, what do my hands want to do? That's beautiful. Think of everything on the labyrinth as a metaphor. So did you step off the path and get a little lost? What could that mean in your life right now? Are you feeling a little lost? By the way, if you do step off the path and get lost, just step on one and just step in a lane and walk. It'll either take you out or to the center again. It's okay. No one's paying attention, right? They're having their own experience. But think of everything that happens on the labyrinth as a metaphor. And then lastly, before we take our break, just a little bit about the role of the facilitator. If you do have a labyrinth facilitator with you, they will be at the entrance welcoming you. So they will time when the next person goes in. You're still going to bunch up and clump up. That's not a mistake ever. But they'll try to space things out rhythmically so that you don't have people just right behind you on your walk. I always tell people I'm holding a prayerful space for you. The entire time you're in there, I am praying. I am praying and holding space. They're also there to be a resource. If you have a question, you can come up and ask your quiet questions anytime. And a labyrinth facilitator will do this. They will create a workshop based on your needs or their understanding of what your needs are, and they will facilitate the experience from start to finish. So as I said earlier, generally, we just talk about these things at the labyrinth and then we move into a labyrinth walk while all those things are fresh on your mind and heart. But you guys are going to do your walk a little later. Okay, last thing on this section, and then we're going to take a break and do a guided meditation. After your labyrinth walk, reflect on this beautiful experience. You can journal, you can draw, doodle, paint, write a poem. You can just sit in centering prayer and contemplation and prayer. You can write a letter to God or have God write a letter to you. Or you can find someone and say, I want to talk to you. Can I share? A lot of us need to share verbally. So find someone and say, let's take turns. Can we be partners? I'll talk for 3 minutes and and you'll really listen, and then we'll switch and you'll listen and, I'll talk, or vice versa. So the labyrinth walk continues to work on you even after the actual walk. So I encourage people, try to take at least 10 minutes after a walk and be present. So I hope that was helpful. I hope it wasn't too repetitive for those of you, since so many of you I did not know have already walked the labyrinth so much. But let's stop and take a break, stretch break, get a drink of water, get some, make a little dash to the restroom. And then when you come back, we'll do a little bit on the finger labyrinth and walk a finger labyrinth together.
I have a little story about what you were saying about stepping off the path and back on. And yeah, so there was a time when I was really intent on knowing what my next step was, and what my mission in life kind of in those big letters was. And so I walked the labyrinth, and at some point or other, I was bumped off the path by somebody passing me. And so I continued on from where I was, and I was sure I was going to the center, and it was all, I'm gonna be there, and I'm gonna be enlightened. And I wound up at the beginning.
Oh, and there's a lesson there.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
beautiful. All right, let's take a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back, so we have time to do your guided meditation and your finger walk. I'll see if we can get us back online. I mean, I only made this because you guys wanted it. They're not very many, but it shows finger labyrinths, and I talked about some slide through to show.
And we've done Greece Cathedral. And we did.
What it is, just pictures of them, the different kinds. And then some of this we'll skip through because we just talked about it. This is a self-standing finger labyrinth workshop. So I just started to share this.
I just got many.
How we did a workshop that, and we made our own.
Very nice.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be just a little bit of it.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
If you can get on, if not, it's probably fine.
It's fine, yeah. I just want to be sure we have enough time to walk it and have some time afterward and then talk, so.
I didn't realize that All Saints Labyrinth
I was
was
gonna
so
Google like.
new.
Oh.
I discovered it, it might have even been before you,
Yeah. It, you, I feel like.
had your ceremony.
Oh, the dedication, yeah.
But the dedication, but I was down in Loveland for another reason.
Yeah.
And I was driving home, but I saw the big sign, Labyrinth open to the public, and I was like, since when does All Saints have a labyrinth? It's like, I did not do a U-turn on the street, but I drove around and I came back in and it was beautiful, because I had just come home from my father's memorial service out in California.
Oh, that's perfect.
Oh, it's a
timing.
big.
So it was just like, but thank you.
Yes, yes. I've seen people walk over from, even from Benson, once they discovered it, which we built our sidewalk to look, to
Yes.
say, please come in.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's been really sweet to see that.
Yeah.
Check
Check
it
it
out.
How to invite people.
Yes, right. So since we have a big world, I say big, we have a World Labyrinth Day celebration coming up on May 3rd, this May 3rd, and we're making signs to put in Benson. So we can say, come on out. And we're gonna have a community drum circle afterwards, so I think that will probably bring people in too.
Well, we'd like to put one in the back here.
Oh, I was looking out the window there and there.
There's the
both spots.
bridge and there's the path,
Mhm.
and we just have a path up to it.
Mhm.
And there's a sign down there, which is say, welcome,
Yes, yes.
please.
So long as you don't get near that big tree.
Lori, is it working? Can you tell? It's just spinning.
No.
I think it's June.
Not up yet.
Okay. I just,
Start over.
Yeah.
I gotta admit, wait a minute. no
oh,
wonder.
I just got out of it, I think.
Yeah,
Okay.
Well, you said, because you said it wasn't working. Let me get
No,
it.
wait, hold on.
So we should.
Before you do anything else.
Okay, that's it. Tim.
Okay, there you are. Now if you wanna, oh, I gotta make you a co-host
Yeah.
again.
Okay. Yeah, so I just Googled St. Luke's Episcopal Church, and they did a practice for Lent, but on their lawn.
Oh,
Oh, they do that one, I think so, on their front lawn. I mean, I'll
They
look
did
it
the
up.
temporary one in the past, but I don't know what they have now.
I said I'd go look and I'll get a report back.
That'd be nice.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me about Saturday.
Well, it's this.
Oh,
That's all I know.
Yeah, that's all I just saw that.
Put down here.
Okay, there we go. And it is up.
Mary,
Yes,
is Eliza Secrets part of your community?
she is. You know, she's a newlywed.
She's not secret, I don't know if she changed her name or not.
I think she did.
She's not
I'm
married.
drawing a blank. Yes, she was part of, we brought her in when we were trying to consider where to put the labyrinth, and we were trying to determine we want to create a sacred garden around it, but that's a lot more money again, so we spent all of it on the labyrinth. And so she came up with a draft of a landscaping plan that's really lovely, but now she's a newlywed, they're trying to get a house, they're buying a house, and so she can't really help.
She was a little girl at our parish in suburban Chicago.
Oh, my
So, yeah, we knew
goodness.
her when she was little, and so,
Wow.
yeah, we reconnected last summer when her parents came to visit.
Oh,
So anyway, just,
I love that.
Good
I realize I need to be
connection.
passing this around.
Here.
So these are three
Oh.
different kinds of finger labyrinths. Just choose the one you want to use.
There was, I think there was.
And then the folks online should have digital versions.
I know it.
See, Bridget's
I know
showing
it.
us the signs.
That's funny, yeah.
They were doing,
12 years.
they would celebrate the summer solstice.
Yeah.
and they were
It's
their school
cool.
summer,
There, I
summer is,
taught
they would
school.
skip formation, one of the different
Well,
stations, but one of them was walking there. That would have
So
been-
here's my recommendation. The one that I like to use the most for a finger labyrinth because it's on a small piece of paper is the one that's wide open. The Chart paper labyrinth can be very difficult and frustrating because it's so little. So if you think that's gonna be a problem, you might wanna take the one that she's showing you right now, that big wide open one or the black one, because they're more clearly defined paths. Now, if you want to do the Chart
I'm just
one,
gonna go in between.
it's sometimes fun to use a coloring
Choose whichever.
pencil, you know, color your way through, because it's easier to see where your path is. Something about this size is much better for using the Chart labyrinth, because you see you have lots of room. On that tiny 8.5 by whatever, it's harder to follow. But some people like that one. Okay.
Everybody has at least one.
All right, guess what, we got one more.
Okay.
Two more.
Two more?
One of each.
Well, great.
Thank you. I'm just sitting here enjoying conversing, and it's like, oh, I'm supposed to
Watch
be
the
doing,
board.
I'm supposed to be doing something.
Uh-huh.
If anybody wants colored pencils, we do have some.
We do, they're all back there. Save it myself.
Yeah.
Yes. I didn't do it. I think I've been over there and walked.
No, we didn't walk.
Yes, we did. We did. Okay.
Okay, we're gonna start gathering back. And chat a little bit about a finger labyrinth. In essence, a finger labyrinth is a smaller portable version of a walking labyrinth, right? You can trace it with your finger or a stylus. It likewise offers a meditative, reflective experience anywhere, anytime, portable, used for prayer, meditation, stress relief, and really helpful for those who are unable to physically walk a full-sized labyrinth. So it has definite accessibility benefits. Movement of the finger can create a calming rhythm, grounding body, mind, and spirit. Here's a picture of just a couple. There are so many, just like the creative physical labyrinths I showed you earlier. There's so many like this. Right? Do you see? Like you can make them of beans. Like you can do this with kiddos, or even not. We're just jumping into finger labyrinths just for time. So there's wooden ones. You see at the top of the screen, there's that stylus that helps you go through. Then wooden ones, paper ones, fabric ones. I've seen them made out of just about everything. If you go on the Labyrinth Society Facebook page, I'm pretty sure that's the one. You will see pictures like of finger labyrinths that you were like, how creative! I would have never thought of that. We're going to just go through the benefits because guess what? The benefits are just the same as walking a physical labyrinth. There's your reminder again of release, receive, and return. A creative ways to use the finger labyrinth. Breaks in a busy day. Cynthia, our priest at All Saints, who's about to retire, but she would, before we had a physical labyrinth, we have a smaller, like one of these handheld labyrinths, and she would just find a little corner and walk the finger labyrinth for a few minutes to recenter and then come back. kind of funny.
Yeah.
Spells. You can use it before journaling, writing, or creative work, when you're trying to make a decision, as a spiritual practice, or some people will walk the finger labyrinth before they walk a physical labyrinth. It's sort of a warm-up. You can combine it with breath work, with music and guided meditation, journaling, and creativity. We're just gonna kind of go through these real quick. You can color your way. Here we go, prime example. You can color your way through a paper labyrinth. It's fun to use your non-dominant hand. Okay, makes you focus a little bit more. Okay,
Oh my goodness.
you won't go into automatic pilot. Follow your breath like you would follow your footsteps. There's something so grounding about the walking, that you can use your breath. If you can't walk a physical labyrinth, use your breath like footsteps. And one of my personal favorites, if you can get a grooved labyrinth like this, it is a very powerful experience to close your eyes and just feel your way through. It's a really beautiful experience. Particularly beneficial to those in grief recovery or life transitions. We're going to go through some of this. So I led a create your own finger labyrinth workshop at our church about a year ago because I thought it would be fun to do. So I'll just tell you how you can do it. So you can do it here if you want. You print this particular labyrinth that looks like yarn. You print it up on cardstock, and then you just glue yarn to follow the path. And you want to clean it up with a Q-tip, so you don't want your finger doing this. That is not, if it's messy and you're trying to walk with your finger, it's not very aesthetically pleasing. So just be sure you clean up your path real good, and then you can decorate it. But it's a very simple way that everyone can take home a finger labyrinth, and it's very inexpensive. Okay, any questions about a finger labyrinth? We went through that in record time. Go team. Any questions? Okay. Well, I would recommend that you choose a labyrinth that you would like to walk today. We're going to take a walk. And again, I recommend either this one or this one, just for ease and cutting down on frustration. Because sometimes this one can be really frustrating because of its size and the path is so small. But other people love it. So choose the one you'd like and set that in front of you. And what I'd like to do is now go into a practice with you. So we're going to share a short meditation with music. I'll guide you to open your eyes to prepare for your walk. So you want it in front of you. And just a reminder that depending on your pace, and remember, your pace is your pace, right? You might walk the labyrinth a couple of times today. You might not finish. It just depends on how quickly or slowly you move. There's no right or wrong. And then once the music fades, we'll take just a couple of minutes in silence before we have any response or sharing time. So basically, short guided meditation with music while you walk, then silence, and then sharing. Clear? Cool. All right. Well, let me get our music going and we will begin. I'll get it ready to get going. Okay, so let's begin. I want to invite you to get comfortable in your chair, gently closing your eyes or looking downward, softening your gaze. Whatever feels most comfortable. We're not using the labyrinth right now. You certainly can if you want to, but we're going to do a little guided meditation first. So we're just going to settle in, begin to notice our breath, soften our bodies. Our purpose today is to listen for God together as a community on pilgrimage in this season. With open hearts, we say, God, I love you. I am listening. And it reminds us that we do not listen alone. We do not love alone. We are also reminded that Scripture says that we're surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses, ancestors, and loved ones gone on who are cheering us on as we walk this path of our lives. And in the style of the prayer of the heart, we're going to imagine now that we are going to begin sinking our minds into our heart. We're going to imagine and not overcomplicate this. Don't stress about the instructions, just stay open to what shows up. Settling into a position that feels really comfortable now. Notice any place that you're holding that's tight. And just breathe into that space. Feeling it brush against our nostrils. Feeling our ribs and our chest rise and fall. Feeling the cells in your body kind of settle, like sand falling to the bottom of the sea. And after watching your breath, I invite you to just really feel ourselves sinking into our hearts, deeper and deeper with each breath. Breathing in, I'm aware of my breath. Breathing out, I'm aware of my out breath. If it feels right to you, you might try placing one or both hands on top of your heart to feel the rhythm of your heartbeat. You might even have to press a little bit. Feel the drum of your heartbeat within your own chest. Now, if you choose, you might gently bow your head down slightly toward your heart. In essence, bringing our minds down to the level of the heart, as if to quiet the mind and give our full attention to this great and mysterious center of our own heart as we listen together. We are created with only one agenda: love. To love God, ourselves, and each other. Each of us came with the same agenda, same blueprint. No other agenda than love. The Christian mystic Origen tells us that our first exegetical tool, a tool for understanding, is our body. That's how we feel, see, move, hear, and sense wisdom. So as you sit in the gift of your body, feel your heartbeat. It's a great way to get in touch with your body and thank your body for being your teacher. Thank your body for being the classroom in which your mind and your heart reside, the container, the transmitter of wisdom. Feel your heartbeat and hold gratitude for your body. I love you. I'm listening. Next, we know that our great teacher is the spirit and our body is her temple. So however you understand that, I want to welcome the spirit into the classroom of your heart and the temple of your body. Feel your heartbeat. Between beats, offer gratitude for all the wisdom that she offers you. I love you. I'm listening. Now envision inviting Christ to enter the temple of your heart and take a seat in the classroom of your life. Thank him for all you have learned and are learning from him. What you've read, the teachings you've heard, the experiences you've been granted in relationship to him. Feel your heartbeat. And between beats, offer him gratitude for all his wisdom and guidance and love. I love you. I'm listening. In breath, out breath. Listening with the fullness of who we have been created to be in Christ. Listening with our bodies, minds, and spirits, all centered in the space of our heart. No agenda other than love. Let your voice, the voice of your heart, be attuned to God as you walk the labyrinth. When you're ready, very slowly, with gentleness and care, begin to lift the shades of your eyes. And when you've returned, place your finger at the gate or the doorway or the opening of the labyrinth. And here with pause, we take a breath, set an intention, ponder a question, or simply, I am a pilgrim seeking. And you may begin your walk. You'll have about 8 minutes. All right, you can either finish your walk or take just a couple of minutes, 2 to 3 minutes to make any notes and jot any thoughts or impressions that you might want to capture before we move into discussion. just for time, just to honor our time. Maybe bring that reflection to a close. You can always come back and add to it later. But I'm noticing that we're almost out of time, and I want to be able to open for any sharing or reflection that you might want to offer to your community, especially as a whole. This is community walk that you've begun, and you're going to be walking in on a pilgrimage for some time ahead. I think 4 months to be precise. So if there's anything that you feel like arose for you, maybe it's for you personally, or maybe also something arose for the community, now would be a great time to share, if you're comfortable.
This pattern, I see the bilateral symmetry of it,
Mm-hmm.
which appeals to me, but then my scientific mind wants to make sense of everything.
I understand. Yeah.
One thing that occurred to me is, one thing I adore about the labyrinth is I tend to overanalyze. Walking the labyrinth, I can't. I don't know. I mean, I know it's taking me to the center, but I can't predict exactly how my path is going. And it occurred to me that the important thing is just to trust and to breathe and to move and let the rest of it fall away.
Thank you.
At every turn, because I use the charts.
I'm sorry?
I use the charts,
You did?
Labyrinth, and every turn, hesitate
Yeah.
to reflect,
Oh.
making a left turn or a right turn,
Mhm.
what's happening now.
Beautiful. The turns are really important.
Yeah.
They do give us that opportunity. Thank you. Anybody else?
It made me realize how long it's been since I've done the labyrinth, and so it's really lovely. So I'm grateful to be re-enriched.
I was just because I was coloring it in, I was noticing that my body wasn't turned, it's like, it's a different perspective, so it felt different than what the turning and getting there and turning around and facing different directions. I mean, after a while I started turning the paper, but that was just sort of a different feeling. And then what you said about understanding it and because that was why I wanted to color it, because I wanted to kind of make sense of it. And yet you just want to feel it and not understand it, but part of me did want to understand it.
And there's room for all of it.
Yeah.
Anybody online have anything you want to add?
Gosh, Lori, nothing like being put on the spot. I found that I need to go slower and pause more. And the gentleman that mentioned pausing at the turns, I didn't do that. I just kept going because it was so easy to keep going. And I did think of a number of ways that this would be helpful for me in my life. And one is when I'm feeling overwhelmed, this is a great way to just come in, release, let go, spend time in the center, and come back out, hopefully with a more grounded feeling. So that it's very good. I enjoyed it immensely, Mary. Thank you.
I'm so glad. You're welcome. Thank you for that share.
I was just, I was doing the charts, and what came to me as I kept getting lost was that if you're in love, you can't be lost.
Wow. That's right. You're always held no matter what. Thank you. Any last thoughts? Any other impressions you want to share? Okay. Well, thank you so much for allowing me this time and to share the space with you. And I hope it was helpful. Again, I feel like we had the grad students here instead of the interest students I expected. And so I hope you weren't too bored at the beginning, and maybe it reinforced why we love the Labyrinth the way we do, and that we can get back out on it. Lastly, I just want to invite you again as a community, May 3rd, starting at 12:30, we'll warm the Labyrinth. You saw that picture of people processing. We'll warm the Labyrinth. We'll do super brief instructions for those who are completely unfamiliar. And then we walk as one at one, because all over the world, that's what they're doing. We walk for peace on World Labyrinth Day, all over the world, walk at one in your time zone. And then after that, we'll also have a food truck, by the way, and bakery, but out and stuff for the kids. But after that, we're also doing a community drum circle for about 45 minutes, which will be a lot of fun. So I hope you'll join us, and thank you so much for the time.
Thank you.